Now today I'm going to be doing something a little different than I normally do. Show you how to change the oil in an old school Chevy 350 V8. Now of course this is pretty standard to most old school small blocks really. So this is a throttle body engine, about the same. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because I've seen a lot of people on forums and groups come up new to the car culture, never changed oil before, and ask an honest question, hey, what's the best way to change my oil? How should I change my oil? This and that. And it's usually met by ridicule and sarcastic answers. So I'm just going to go straight forward into this, show you how easy it's done. Now, first thing first, you don't want to do it when the engine's too hot, but you don't want to do it exactly when it's cold either, because you want that oil slightly warmed up where it's going to drain out real easy. Now, on one of these old school small blocks, one of the things I like to do is add STP oil treatment. That's just me. So while the engine is still warm, since this is so thick, I usually sit on top of the engine, let it warm up a little bit and thin up, so when I add it later, it's easier to pour in. Now, let's get started by crawling underneath this engine and finding the drain plug on the engine. Alright, now here's our drain plug on the bottom of the oil pan. Now it is on the driver's side. Here's the front cross member, so you know where it's at. And your oil filter's generally going to be right here, kind of across from it. Now this is on a two-wheel drive. Full drive can be a little different, so watch out. But what I'm going to do is I got a pan right here ready to catch the oil, and a 9/16 so I can break this loose. Now it's broke loose. Now sometimes you may actually have to hit that a little bit in order to break it loose, depending on how tight the person last got it. But I'm going to make sure my drain pan is under there now. Alright, now it's broke loose. I've got the drain pan right here ready to catch the oil. Now remember, it is going to shoot out this way, so you're going to want your drain pan offset to the pan for now. Once you get it loose enough, you can start to pull the plug. Now once you start seeing a few drips like that, hang on to the plug, kind of push it towards the pan into it a little bit, and once you feel the slack is gone and you got a good tight grip on it, that's when you pull away. Get the least amount of oil on your hands as possible. And see, just a little bit. Now we're going to let that drain completely, and basically come back to that whenever it's just a drip like that right there, because I want all the old engine oil out of this. Now once it's pretty much drained off to nothing, gonna get that plug back in there, tighten by hand, slide the drain pan out of the way, and I'm gonna tighten down the plug. Now you can over tighten these, so just give it just a little bit of a turn. And usually what I like to do is actually come back like this, just a little bit, and get a few taps, make sure it's decently tight. You don't want to lose that going down the road. And then I'm just going to go ahead and wipe everything off here That way later when we add the new oil, you can check for leaks much easier, just in case. Alright, now that draining the pan is taken care of, now we can move over to the filter. So again, we're going to bring our pan underneath the filter this time, so our pan's directly below it. And now we're going to take this filter off and loose. Now sometimes after being on there for a little while, it'll be a little more difficult to take off. So you may want a filter wrench, if you can get one on there. This one I may not be able to, but sometimes you can reach up here and loosen it by hand. There we go. Now, hopefully, I'm going to pull this back just a little bit. Now what I'm going to do, you can see, where I can easily turn it. And I'm going to stop right there once I see the oil and let that drain out for a little bit directly into the pan. And now slow it down a little bit so it's the pan directly underneath. Gonna kind of hold pressure up so it doesn't automatically fall. Bring it down and drop it into the drain pan. Alright, now with the old filter out of the way, come up here and wipe all this off. Make sure there's nothing there. Wipe all the old oil off that may have gotten somewhere. As you can see right here, you can see the metal, which is a good thing, because sometimes the rubber gaskets on the end of the filters will actually stick and cause sealing issues with the new filter. So make sure that the old gasket is still on the old filter. Now, next step I usually do is I usually pre-fill the oil filter. Now, you don't have to get it 100% full, but you want some oil in there. That way there's oil already in the filter. Now, some people do this, some people don't. It's just something I do. And also I prefer a Wix filter as well as Valvoline oil, so that's just what I use. Other people use different stuff. Now, if you're going to pre-fill it, honestly, the bigger bottle is a little harder to pre-fill with. Just going to slowly let it go in. Now, if you're doing it on a four-wheel drive, where the filter is sideways on some of them, well, you probably don't want to put much in it, because as soon as you put it up there, it will probably spill out. But this filter goes straight up and down, so I'm going to give it a good pre-fill. Now, honestly, something's been taught to me a long time ago. Just take a little bit of the new oil on the side there and just nicely run it along the edge of the new seal. Alright, now just going to bring this filter up. And tighten it down. And in all reality, you want to get it hand tight. Make sure there's no oil or anything on it or on your hands. That way you can get a good hand tight filter. Otherwise your hand will probably slip. Now wicks, I don't think has a grip on the bottom like the Fram, but I do not like Fram. So just get it good and tight by hand. Now with a clean funnel going through a valve cover. Now some valve covers still have an oil filler cap. Others like these do not. I have to remove one of the breather caps in order to add the oil. Now after giving that a minute to all go down, go ahead and pull the dipstick out, clean it off. And then check which we are good. Now typically on an old school V8 small block, typically it's 4 quarts oil, 1 for the oil filter, so typically around 5 quarts oil. Now this bottle of STP, I'm not going to add it until I got it running. And I'm going to go through that breather right there. Just because it's so thick, I'd rather it circulate. But now it's time to know got oil. Check under it real quick, make sure there's no leaks. And then start it up, check for leaks again, and then add the STP. Alright, there it is. Now after letting it cool back off, checking the oil on the dipstick one more time, check for leaks, you're good to go. Now, the reason why, if you're wondering, I use STP, it's because of zinc and other materials or properties in it that actually help reduce wear on the internals of the engine. Now, some people believe it, some people don't, but old school engines do require zinc, and modern oils do not have them. So adding zinc additive to modern oil seems like the best thing to do. Now hopefully this information proved helpful. As always, thanks for watching.